In today's session, what we are trying to do is we are trying to go through a sample of requirements. So, based upon those requirements, we will try to document a business requirement document, and we will also try to document a functional specification document. It will be sort of a practical session where it will be a group exercise where we will all participate together to document the various business requirements and functional requirements for a feature that we are going to develop today. So, in order for this to be successful, first of all, we need to understand what is the feature very, very thoroughly. And if you're not understanding it, then you have to ask questions. Okay. So let me share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? It's a Excel sheet open.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So today the feature that we have taken is called secure mailbox. Right. So secure mailbox is a very common functionality. So if you would have used maybe a bank account or credit card account, there are certain messages that you receive as secure messages, right? So uh, secure messages are sent by the bank or the financial institution, and they are not sent directly to your email, right? So you will usually get a email that there is an important message from the bank. Please click on this link to read the message. So first of all, is everyone familiar about what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, except Manisha, everyone is familiar of? Sammy, Usha, Usman.
No, sir, but I'm not familiar. Sir. Please explain. Yeah.
Yeah, I also have a rough idea.
Sorry,
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
so you guys have a bank account or a credit card account.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you receive a email saying that there is a secure message for you, waiting for you, or maybe when your credit cards or bank statement is due, they send
Yes.
you that
Mm-hmm.
your statement is ready. Please click here to see the statement, right?
Yeah, usually they send the encrypted messages. Yes.
Yes. So they send the encrypted messages, and then you have to click on the link, something to log in and view the message. So basically, as a security feature, they do not send the message directly to your email. Okay, they make you go to another place or sometimes their website to view the message. Okay. So the whole concept is, let's say they are sending you some very confidential data, right? Maybe it's your bank statement, maybe it's your something that is containing your PII. Everyone is familiar about PII and PHI. So PII is personal identifiable information. Anything that could identify you as a person. It could be your name and date of birth combination. It could be your email address, any combination that could identify you uniquely as a person is called PII. PHI is any personal health information. Any information that could jeopardize your health identity, right? Maybe like if you're suffering from some disease or you're getting some treatment somewhere. So all these things are covered under the PHI data. So these data are considered very, very highly confidential at a personal level, right? There could be other important information, financial information, but personal identifiable information, that is called your PII, and then personal health information, that is called your PHI. This is considered very, very confidential for every person, irrespective of their financial background or something, right? On top of that, of course, the financial information, your bank account number, your credit card number, all those types of things are anyways very confidential in nature. So usually when you're dealing with PII, PHI or financial information, they would rather not send that information openly over email. They would try to encrypt it in some way, or they will say that you have received a message, come to our website to see the message. Actually, we will not be sending you the message directly over email. We are just sending you a notification over email. To view the actual message, come to our website and log into our website. So everyone clear what is secure mailbox or secure messages as a feature?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Manisha?
got it.
Okay,
Yeah, I got it.
perfect. Usha, Usman, everyone on the same page?
Mm-hmm.
Varun? Good.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, perfect. So the reason I was explaining was, as a business analyst, when you are working on a feature, this is like a basic level of details. Either someone will share with you, right? Or you have to do a research on it. Maybe you will get a one-liner that the client wants to implement secure mailbox, or the client wants to implement a secure messaging system for their website, right? So even if you get this part of information, you can research and understand, okay, what is this system, right? So the basic level information that I shared with you, as a business analyst, you will gather these information beforehand, so that from an understanding standpoint, you are clear what you are doing as a business analyst, or what you are going to do as a business analyst. Okay, so now let's suppose that you have that information. Okay, and now, excuse me, you have been told that your client wants to implement. Your client is maybe a financial bank, a financial system, a bank, maybe let's say a bank, right? For everyone's understanding, let's say it's a Bank of America, right? And Bank of America wants to implement a secure mailbox system such that whenever they are sending important confidential information to their users, they can use the secure mailbox system. Okay, let's say that is the requirement. Okay, so now let's say this is the high level requirement that you have. So let's say the client wants, no, I will not say it's a requirement. It's a higher level scope that you have received before you gather requirements. So the client wants to implement the secure mailbox system to securely transmit confidential information electronically. Okay. Let's say you have received this much information as a scope, right? Maybe from a project manager, or maybe as part of the SOW, or whatever thing that you signed for this module. Again, consider this is a module. It's not a whole soul project, right? This they might already have a website that you are maintaining. They are just adding you another module, or they are just requesting another small feature in that module, in which they want to implement secure mailbox. So everyone on the same page till now. All good?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you
Yes.
understand what step you are at
Yes.
as a business analyst?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think today is really important, guys. So feel free to stop me at any place where you think you are left behind, because the whole idea or the goal of today's exercise is, I want to practically walk you through, or try to walk you through, as close as to reality, how things will gradually develop, right? What you will have in the initial stages, what will happen in the next stages, right? And then what will you do in the next stage, so that you see that it's not a rocket science, and you get a little bit experience of how things are gradually developed. That is the whole goal. So if I'm moving ahead and you are left behind, feel free to stop me, so that I can clarify anything that you are missing. Okay. So think about it. Today we are going to implement this secure in mailbox feature. And as a business analyst, you are tasked to collect all the requirements from the client. Okay. So having said that, let me start with one by one, everyone, right? Please tell me what all are the problems. So how will you approach this feature, I would say, and what is your suggestion? How we should start with this feature? How or maybe if you are preparing for a JAT session with the client, right, a joint application development session, what will be your agenda? How will you derive this feature? What will be the questions that you will have in mind? And what will you try to understand from client? Let me put it in this way. So let me start with Varun. Varun, if you are the
Yes.
business analyst, what all are the, or what is your approach or agenda that you would think going in a JAT session to collect requirements for this feature? If this is the information you have in hand.
Um, how many customers do we have, like, who request such a feature?
How many customers? So basically, you are trying to understand the population
Yeah.
of people using this feature. Perfect. Very good. What else?
Hmm.
I think the first question we should ask is like, what kind of environment of their system, of their existing system?
Very good. Very good. That is perfect. And Usman, that is fantastic. That is the first thing you should ask. That how you are handling these requests currently, right? What is your current system? So they may say it is a paper-based system, or you have some other way to do that, a third-party system. Perfect. So you are on the right track. So what else comes to your mind?
What kind of software uh, they are using for which we will add this secure email system?
If they are currently using some software, so basically so software, then ask further questions about it, right?
Right.
Perfect. Yeah. What else? What else?
What are the issues they are facing on their current system?
Perfect. Perfect, Manisha. So you guys are getting it. So our what we have to do is we have to understand what all are the business problems that is leading the client to request this feature, right? To understand what is going on their mind, right? Because requesting a secure mailbox is a solution, sort of, right? Right. So your duty is to find out what is going on, what is the business problem behind it. Okay. So very good, Manisha. What else?
As I said, encrypted email system is also one of the features. It could be the features, right?
No, what is the
But
question you will ask the business?
How how many we have affected clients? We can ask that question. How on an average, how many there's a affected client that their mailbox are not secure? Like before that, how many are the clients that have facing that issue?
Okay.
I would
Again,
say secure
population.
mail solutions. I would say secure mail email system.
Sorry, what is your question, Usha? I'm not getting you.
No, no. What I'm saying is, as I said, encrypted emails should be sent to the customers, right?
Yes.
So there should be some secured email system also should be there, right? It could be one of the features, right? That's what I'm saying.
No, no. But right now you are asking business. So what will it, the question you will ask business?
Oh, okay, okay.
So what question you will ask them?
Like, what is the level of encryption we need, maybe? Or
Maybe, yeah, you're right. So what level of security uh,
yeah.
you are requesting, right? Maybe that is a
Right.
question. Maybe technical, but that's fine. It's good to ask, right?
Mm.
What else?
Yes. And then, what happens if the stakeholder or business user does not know what they need. For an example, they say, okay, well, I need a secure mailbox. That's the problem, or that's not a problem statement. Would the problem statement question follow? Why do you need this secure mailbox, and kind of build like a baseline?
Absolutely. And I think that is how it is. Because see, nothing in so how things work in an IT company, or in fact in any company, right? So there is a problem, right? Based upon that problem, a case is raised in the company, in the client side company I'm talking about, right? And someone approves the budget based upon the intensity of the problem, right? So there will never be a case where they come to you asking something and then they don't know why they are asking. There will be never a case, because in their own company, in the client side, it goes through multiple steps of approval before they raise a request to you. Think about that, right? So uh, it is not like someone is dreaming from the client side one day and they think that they want a feature. It goes through multiple steps of approval, budget approval, and then only they come to you. And as a business analyst, when you see it, it is already a sort of a thought through feature. So as at least from a problem perspective, how big of a problem is that is thought through. So I think you guys did a good job, at least to creating a sort of a high level script architecture. Anyone else want to add anything before I go ahead? No? Okay. So first of all, how to dissect this is, you said the right thing. First question we have to ask is, how is the current system handling these functionality? And if it is not handling, maybe they say it is a paper. Right now we are sending paper mails. So let's say, so this is how you have to make your script such that it can go both ways. If they say it is a third party system that they are using currently, then your line of questions will be something else, right? If they say it's a paper mail they are sending, they don't have a system, they are sending paper mail, right? So then your line of questioning should be something else, right? So what that kind of questioning would be, I will give you an example. Maybe we cannot spend a lot of time here, but just to give an example, if it is a third party system, so your line of questioning would be, what all are the challenges you are facing, right? Maybe that's a question, right? And let me put it here so that we can little bit make a space for that. And uh, is it complying to all the security and user needs? All those type of line of questioning would come if they say yes, we are using a third party system. If they say they are using a paper mail system, okay, what all? So first of all, you will definitely ask, okay, how many mails are we sending on a monthly basis? Because mostly when it is a paper mail thing, it's a cost benefit analysis where they are paying so much for sending paper mail and they want to convert it to electronic and also save some money. Mostly it is that. But that is the thought process, that you have to do some homework before you go to the JAT session. Okay, if they say paper mail, then we will try to find out, okay, if cost is the issue, and if they want to save the cost by implementing the system, and if they want to consolidate all the maybe all the notices, or I would say all the notices, or what you call statements for the user. So right now you send like 10 statements a month, maybe two are statements, other are some privacy
We can,
notices or things like that, right? So
we can also ask that, Gurmeet, that how much time delay they are getting by the paper mail.
how much time lag it is, right?
Yeah.
Time lag. So are your statements getting on time? Is it like is it too hard? Is like some people complain or they don't receive the email and hence you lose some business. So all this would be your line of questioning based upon these two segregations. Okay, but all these questions will still hold true, like what level of security you need, right? What is your business problem you want to solve? That should be the basic one. What you want to achieve out by implementing a secure mailbox. So they will say, oh, maybe they will say it's a compliance need. All banks have to comply. Let's say, right? So you have to be prepared for all those things, because if they say we all banks have to comply, then it's like straightforward, right? Business problem could be there or could not be there. If they have to comply to a compliance or legal thing, they have to implement secure inbox or secure mailbox, whatever the name is, right? Or they can say, okay, we are like in my case, in one of my clients, they were sending 1 million paper notices every month to their clients, right? So think about, even if it is $1 or less than $1 a notice, they were spending $1 million monthly, at least a minimum, on something which the client doesn't values anything, right? They will just read it and maybe throw it. So cost was a bigger advantage, and plus people use when they people get mail, it is so it's a hassle to save the mail and consolidate it, read it. Okay, this means this, and there is no easy way to consolidate. So by implementing this, it was acting as a feature, as a advantages for their users. So let's say this is a bank, all the bank customers, they will be happy to see all their statements accessible whenever they want, rather than having their statements over mail. Again, it depends upon population to population. So it comes to the next question, that is very important. What is the persona of your users, right? And this is a question which uh, sometimes business may have an answer upfront, but maybe they will not have. But that is something you can probably give them an action to understand it. So what is a persona? It's a uh, description of what type of users interact with your system. So let's say if 20% of the people don't have access to technology, or they are, let's say, construction workers, they don't sit on a laptop all day to check emails and check all those type of things, right? Maybe that's your persona. Maybe your persona is a mix of both, right? Maybe your persona is let's say elderly people, maybe above 65, based upon what type of thing you're offering. Maybe it's a pension fund for elderly people, whatever it is, right? So based upon your software, you have to understand the persona of the users, and then try to understand all those things to write down the requirements. So if the persona is that 90% of the population is, let's say, not technology savvy, right? Or they don't have access to technology very often, right? Then even if you implement the secure mailbox, it will not work for them, because maybe they check your email every once a month, right? If you are sending important information, they may not be able to get access to it as soon as what they check mail. They probably just check their mails every day, but they don't check their emails every day, right? So that is the one of the things, as a business analyst, you have to understand the persona of the users who will be using the software that you are building. Okay, so any questions till now? Everything that we discussed?
Yes, the persona is tied with the type of user, right?
Yes. So let's say, let me put it in this way. You are offering your bank is in an area where most of the people are factory workers, right? So based upon your list of users that you have, the list of clients you have, you may have a fair amount of idea. You may not have exact numbers, but you as a business should have an idea of that 20% of my clients are factory workers having low to medium access to technology, right? Versus you can say that I am working, like, let's say, maybe in an IT hub where most of my clients are like IT related to IT, which has who have access to, or they work on their laptops every day, every night, every time. So these people will be ideal. The reason I'm saying persona is important is, so how this system works is, even if you are in a financial world or a financial system, bank system, you give an option for the users to say, I want to opt out, I want to go paperless, right? So if the user says, I want to go paperless, so rather than sending paper mail, you start sending electronic messages, right? So that your statements are, rather than printing and sending it, you can just send your statements and everything, notices, over electronically, right? So now what happens is, the reason persona is important is, if you understood as a business analyst that 70% of the people whom this client is going to use this secure mailbox doesn't have access to your technology, then it is, as a business analyst, it is your duty to understand that the client understands that although you're trying to implement this secure mailbox, but it looks like 90% or 70% of the people will not opt on paperless, because they're not technology savvy, they are not comfortable receiving uh, things online electronically, right? So as a business analyst, that is something that you have to take care of. At least make your client who is giving you requirements aware about it, that this is what my understanding is based upon what you told me about the persona of your clients. This is my understanding. Then how do you think that they will use this system? So that is a difference between taking requirements and uh, gathering and understanding what the client actually needs. Okay. Any questions till
Great.
now?
And then, yes, what's the difference between I was in an interview and they asked me this question. They said, "What is the difference between gathering requirements and eliciting requirements?"
See,
Have you heard that term or
yeah,
that
yeah.
question?
Eliciting requirements. See, it's the only difference that it means is that gathering requirements is just noting down the requirements what your clients ask you to note down. So sort of you are a note taker. They ask you to build the system this way. You're noting down the requirement. Eliciting requirement actually means, in a business analyst term, is to understand the problem statement and unhide the real requirements, which the client sometimes even don't know what the requirement they have, right? So that is a difference between what a note taker is and what a business analyst is, right? So um, um, a business analyst is responsible to unhide the real requirements, which the client sometimes overlooks and doesn't understand that is your requirement, right? So that is the main difference. What I would say. Again, you were not there in the initial classes, Christian. I think I gave an example of Henry Ford. Were you there that time?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. So I think I gave an example, was that when Henry Ford was creating the car and was working on that experiments and all, right? If sometimes if client would have come to Henry Ford and said, they would have given a requirement that I want a faster horse, right? That's what type of requirements you will listen from the clients. They will ask you to make a faster horse. It is your responsibility as a business analyst to unhide the real requirements, understand the problem statement, and say that, okay, your requirement is that you want to go from point A to point B faster. That is your requirement. Your requirement is not to create a faster horse, right? Because that's what in real life you will get. You will get clients who will tell you what you have to do. But as a business analyst, you have to find out what is their problem statement and what you're trying to solve, and then understand what is their requirement. So that is the whole difference between gathering and eliciting.
Gurmeet?
Explained it
Mhm.
perfectly.
Sorry.
Yeah, Gurmeet, you said third party system, right? Here, like how
Hmm.
the current system handling the functionality.
Hmm.
So, what do you mean by the third party system?
Just 1 second, Usha. Christian, is it clear what I was saying?
I'm sorry.
Yes, very crystal clear. Thank you, Gurmeet. I appreciate that.
Sure, you're welcome. So, Usha, the reason I said third-party system is maybe it's a system which is not from our company, right? They're using it as from some other company, a system, from other software vendor or some other party. That's what I meant. So it is commonly referred to as third-party systems. It is not from
So,
our company. You are representing a software company as a business analyst,
right.
right? So if it is your system, you will say it is your system, right? If it is not your system, it's a third-party system.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
it's not clients. If client has developed it, it is a client system, right? If you are developed it,
Yeah.
it is your system. If neither of you have developed it, it's a third-party system.
In any case, like these are the questions that you raised, like we have to solve these questions. That's what you mean.
Yeah, I
What
think
are the
I was
challenges
giving you
you're facing and
based upon
complying?
this requirement. I was just trying to give you an example of, and I think you
Oh,
all
okay.
guys did a good job. That this is how you should in your mind you should process it before
Right.
going to the JAD session. You have to have like a rough agenda or rough sketch of what you're trying to do in the session, and this is sort of a good sketch or skeleton of what you will try to do in a JAD session. So you know that if they are inclined to this, so your line of questions will be in this area if you're using a third party system. If they
Okay.
say they don't have any system, they send paper mail, then your line of questions would be in this area. That okay,
Oh,
paper
okay.
system. Okay, now you're using paper system. So what is going on? Why you want to go to electronic? Is your client asking you to go to electronic? Or you trying to save money? Blah blah blah. All those things. So that to give you like a real life example of how you will position yourself and understand, gather requirements. Because what I've seen is that especially the new business analysts, they think that it's a rocket science and it's like very hard. How will I do that? So I wanted to give you a live example of this is how you will approach a system. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, Everyone on the same page, guys? All good? Perfect. So let's take an example of a business requirement document. So let's say this is your business requirement document. As I mentioned earlier, there are hundreds of format, and almost 99.9% this will not be a format that you will use in your company wherever you go, right? So the whole reason to do this exercise is so that you are familiar with the important fields at least, right? Everything else, you will see hundreds of other different names, different fields, which you will take help from the people who are there in your company to understand. That's what I do even after this many years of experience. When I do go to a new project, I take help from the people that are there in project to understand, okay, what you guys feel here in author. Because some people write the name of the person who is writing it, some people write name of the company who is writing the requirement, all different. So there is no, I would say, one recipe or one format that will work for all the companies, all the projects. Okay, so the basics are important, right? Uh, so let's start with I would say BRID. So business requirement ID. In my company, it's called name, but it doesn't matter. It's a sequence. It's a unique sequence that you will use to write a business requirement. So now assume that we have gone through the JAT session. We have taken some rough notes, and now we are trying to write down the business requirement document, capturing all those information that we have captured in the JAT session, right? So this is the format for this exercise we are using. It could be an attachment to a Word document. It could be done multiple other ways. But the whole reason is that I'm confident you guys can figure out, or you will be trained when you go into a company what format or what template they're using. My focus is so that you can write the basic requirements. That is my focus today. My focus is not for you to learn this format. Just think about this format as an example, right? So my company uses, let's say, Excel, so I'm using Excel. So the first important field is your BRID, right? And the format of the unique ID is also specific to your project. So someone will say 0001, right? That's my requirement, BRID. Someone will say BR BRID 0.1.00. There is no, I would say, set recipe, right, to do that. All you have to understand is a unique number traceable across. That means all the requirements that will be there in that project, this number will be unique so that you can uniquely identify this requirement throughout that project, not just that module, throughout that project. Okay. So for example, in my company, what we use is we just use the feature name, that is secure mailbox, and then we take the number 0102, something like that. Oh, sorry, BR. So SM is a secure mailbox dot BR dot 01. So and then we use the whole sequence SMBR 01, 02, 03, 05, 06, like that. So that is the whole idea, is to be unique, so that whenever this is being referenced, this one line or row item is referenced anywhere, by reading it you can understand, okay, this is SM is secure mailbox, so this is the BR business requirement 01 of the feature secure mailbox, and it can vary based upon the project that you go. Okay. Requirement category, I think, is also not very specific. It can be, you can write it, let's say, uh, it can be anything related to anything, right? Sometimes it is a functional requirement, functional versus non-functional, right? But it could be anything, but don't pay attention to it right now. Think about it. It's another item that you will go to your company and ask your other team members, okay, what do you usually do it in? Write it in, right? It is perfectly okay to ask it. And similar is for author, action, item owner, functional domain. All these terms, it is very perfectly fine for you on the first day or when you're working on that document to ask your other team members, okay, what do you usually write in this? Or can you please give me another sample of the BID that you have worked on so that I can actually write these? I can refer to what you guys use for author, action item owner, functional domain, release, priority, RTM section owner, SME, so whatever it is, right? So it is perfectly fine. No one will judge you because this is not part of, I would say, what as a business analyst you're supposed to know. What you're supposed to know, it is requirement should be unique. There should be a description, and there may be some notes or comments. It could be notes, it could be comments, whatever it is, right? But important is description. So now in description as well, or you can call it the business requirement. This is the actual requirement that we are writing in the description. It is mostly written in shell statements. The system shell, the user shell, right? Usually written in shell statement. That is industry-wide true. Again, there could be exceptions which I don't know, but this is what I have seen always, that usually business people prefer using shell statement, that this is what the requirement is. The system shall do this. The system shall do that. The user shall do this, or you can make various variations with it, right? But generally, that is the format that is used. Again, important thing is your requirement should be crystal clear, and it should not mean different thing to different type of I would say consumers. So it should not mean different to a business person versus different to a developer who is reading it. It should be very crystal clear irrespective of the type of consumer, right? So it should be totally unambiguous, right? Very clear and concise. You should try to write it in as short, as simple as possible, rather than writing long paragraphs. Business requirement document is not the place to write long paragraphs. Should, if it requires longer paragraph, we would rather break them to separate business requirements. Okay. So any questions before I go ahead in the requirements?
Gurmeet, like probably like there should be in this whole chart, like all the companies do not use all the features, right? They must be having their own template, right?
That's right. Yes, that's what I explained. Yes. So this should be
Right.
common. So description or the requirement will always be there because that is the basic. That is your business requirement. There might be comments or no. Description could be said in multiple things. Some would say requirements, right? Some would say business requirements, right? It varies, but what you will write in it will be remain same, right? It will be the shell statements, right? Comments would be your supporting things which could help you understand what the requirement is, but where it should not be like for every requirement. It is wherever it is required, you can add comments or notes. And of course, the ID, the unique ID that represents, that should be common in any template that you go. Okay. And all other things could vary based upon the company that you go, the template that the company is using. Okay. So let's now go to our example of secure mailbox, right? So we said SMBR.01 this, right? So let's say we write a requirement. The system shall. Now, again, I'm assuming that we went through the JAT session, right? Now, let's say in the JAT session, we got to know that the whole purpose of implementing secure mailbox for this particular client is that they want to save money and they want to facilitate users by providing a way such that they can look at all the notices, all the statements that they send at a one place electronically. Okay, so there should be a way that the user opts out of the paper mails and say I want to go paperless, right? And then once they go paperless, they will start receiving emails. Once they click on the email, the user should be able to access the message. So that is what high level what we elicited as part of the JAT session. Okay. So let's write the system shall display allow the user to paperless receive various statements and communications from let's read it once. The system shall allow the user to receive various statements and communications. Maybe you can say from the bank electronically, right? So now first of all, is everyone clear on that why we wrote that and why we wrote it in this way? So the whole idea is that and every statement you write, you should read it and understand it that this should be what, this should not be how, right? So when you read it through that lenses, you will filter down anything that is wrong. So there should not be any solution. There should be a requirement that the system shall allow the user to receive various statements and communications from the bank electronically, right? So this is a requirement. You are not telling how they will receive. So you're just saying there should be a way that user can receive that statements electronically, right? You're not telling how. Okay. So now let's see what shall user shall be able to opt paperless statements online. That's online. So here we are telling that there should be option that the user can opt to receive paperless statements online, and then we can say whenever a Okay. Now we are saying system shall send email notification to users whenever communications or statement is generated for the user. Again, this is little tricky because we want to avoid going to solutioning, right? And we want to stay at the requirement level. So now read it again. The system shall send email notifications to users whenever a communication or statement is generated for the user. So now here you are almost on the verge of solutioning. So what will you do? What is the better way to write this requirement? Anyone?
I think if you just, the system shall send email notification to users. That's it.
No, but I think the whole intent is that they will receive email notifications whenever a communication is generated, so that uh, they are notified that okay, there is something ready for you. So how will you say that without going into solutioning? And again, there is no rocket science. I also read it twice, thrice till I get it. The system shall send
Oh,
email notifications,
the
or I would say
system should notify users whenever they have a statement or.
yes, system shall send electronic notifications. Something like that, right? So here you are not going into solutioning. You're not telling that you will send email. You're not telling them, okay, what frequency, how will they read, whatever, right? So uh, you're trying to be away from the solutioning part of it, right? And still you are clearly mentioning your concise requirement. Everyone agrees with that, or anyone has any doubts? All good, guys? You're there?
Yes, all good.
Good. Good.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. So now I think we did the groundwork. Now let's go to the actual requirements. The system shall display the secure actions or statements to the user. Again, first of all, I'm writing what is in my mind, and then we will do a couple of rounds to fix it so that they are more in line with the requirements thing that we want to get. So right now, I'm writing what is in my mind so that we all can collaborate to write the real requirements. The system shall display the secure communication statements to the user. As part of the secure mail.
Gurmeet, can we write the system shall allow the users to update their information like their address or their phone number?
Mm-hmm.
We could
Okay,
say the
okay, yeah,
systems.
that's a good one, right?
Oh,
Yes. So you meant that to receive the notifications, right?
it sounds like we're trying to solve the requirement. It
Which one?
says
This
the
one?
system shall display. Yes,
Yeah. So
the
that's
system shall display the secure communication.
yes. So again,
So I think we should say,
let's fix it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a solution because that is what came to my mind, or that is maybe what you will have in your rough notes. So let's write it down, and then we have to make sure that it is not a solution that we are writing. So let's fix it. The system shall display the secure image. The user shall be able to access all the secure application So now we are not telling how, right? We are just telling that the user shall be able to access all the secure communications or statements electronically using the secure mailbox feature, right? Do you agree, or do you still think it's a solution?
I agree.
So again, it's all about wording, right? So you read it couple of times, it still may not be perfect, and it's totally okay, right? But at least you have something in mind. You have put it down in the list, right? You can keep on refining, and again, don't forget to put all these numbers, right? You have to put it wherever it is required, right? You have to continue the numbering so that right. So again, you can differentiate these as functional, right? If it is at all required, right? And then you can write maybe a security requirement. System should maintain this level of security. Maybe I don't know what level of security it is, but that could be a non-functional, right? So any questions till now? Let's not complicate it. So are we all good till now, right? So we are just saying that the system shall allow the user to receive various statements and communications from the bank electronically, right? The user shall be able to opt to receive paperless statements online, or we can probably write that user shall be able to shall have an option to select paperless statements online. Maybe something. Again, the number of times you read it, you will try to refine it, try to fix the grammar and other things, which makes it more clearer, right? So, but you all guys got an idea, right?
Yeah.
So, comments
Yes.
wherever you think that your business requirement needs some more handholding or needs some more elaboration. Again, think about it. You should try to cover everything here wherever possible. Comments is just wherever you tried everything, you're still not able to explain, or maybe you think that maybe some type of users may not get it. Let's say you use some terms here, which let's say you used PII or PHI, or you use some terms which maybe the business user will understand, but maybe a development team member may not understand. So you can use this comment section to explain. PII stands for personal identifier information that identifies a person, blah blah blah, right? So nothing related to requirement, but you are just supporting what you have written and required. Okay. Author is generally the person who writing the requirement. Let's say I'm writing, so I should be good meat, right? Because you can identify who is the author, or sometimes it is name of the company, right? So you write the name of the company. Action item owner is if there is any action item taken on for this requirement, maybe to clarify, maybe to add on. Again, it's not a required field. It may not even appear in your format, right? Functional domain, again, it is specific to my company. It may not apply to you. Release is important because sometimes you plan, okay, this requirement is for release 20 or release 21. Again, based upon your company, when you start working on a feature on a particular module, they will tell you, okay, this will go in so and so release. Release is nothing. When you develop a system, You develop it in various releases, right? Release 1, release 2, release 3. You create like for think about iterations that we talked about. Think about sprints that we talked about. Multiple iterations or sprints combined to create a release. So you package multiple iterations into one release. So if there is one release, it could be maybe 6 iterations, 6 sprints, and you are going live with release 1. So this is just a technical term to identify, okay, this requirement is for which release or planned for which release. It might be sprint 1, sprint 2, doesn't matter, but which release it is. What is the priority of this requirement? It is P1, priority 2. Again, the nomenclature will depend upon your company, doesn't have to be same. Who is the RTM owner? It might not apply to you, but RTM is, as you talked about, it's the traceability matrix, right? So so someone owns, okay, this business requirement relates to this technical requirement or this functional requirement, or this business requirement is mapped to these many test cases. So someone is owning that thing. So again, this is how it is used in my company. It may or may not apply to your company. So everything else, just leave it, just concentrate on, I would say, the unique ID, the description, the comments, maybe the author, because this is what you will find always in a business requirement template. Okay. Any questions in the BRD? And this is it. This is the BRD, right? Again, it could have a wrapper, a nice, beautiful Word document, and this could be attachment into it. It can be done multiple ways, but that is what you will end up documenting after your JAT sessions. Making sense, guys? Is it making you feel better how things are going on? Because now it is happening in your friend.
Yes.
Okay. So now.
Yes, very much better.
Perfect. So now, unfortunately, we need a lot of time. So we are at 8:37. Let me get started with the FSD. Maybe we have to take out some time next session as well to finish it. But everyone clear on the BRD, right? So let's say these are the 4 business requirements that we have written, right? First requirement is the system shall allow the user to receive various statements and communications from the bank electronically. User shall have the option to select a paperless statement online. So let's take this as a business requirement, right? And let's try to write it in the functional specification document FSD, okay? Or in the use case format. So did everyone? So I would say, guys, on my website, there are a lot of stuff related to this, especially how to write a use case, how to write a user story. It will be very helpful. So please make sure you read through it when you get a chance, because that will help you clarify some of these concepts more. Okay. So let me open. So let's say this is the
Gurmeet, can you tell me what are we gonna write on comments?
comments. Manisha, could be anything that is required to support your business requirement. It is not required. It's an optional thing, and I would rather say it should be avoided wherever possible, because comments are taken as something which you are not able to probably write the requirement very concisely, and you need help to further solidify it, right? But it is an optional thing which you can skip whenever required. For one example that I was taking.
Yeah, can you give an example for one of these?
So example I was giving was, like, let's say you are using certain terms which are not familiar with all type of consumers who will be using your document. So let's say you are using PII or PHI, right, in your requirement, business requirement, or you're using certain terms which the certain type of users may not be familiar with, right? So you can try to explain it in the comments that PII means personal identifiable information, or anything that you would like to explain, although your requirement is complete in yourself, but there could be let's say this is it. Send electronic notification. So you want to elaborate what is the electronic notification, because maybe some business users don't understand what is electronic notification. So you can use this section to elaborate. By electronic notification we means blah blah blah.
Or we are writing any abbreviation, so we can write the full form in the comments.
Yes, ideally you should try to avoid abbreviations firsthand, but if you're using it, which are very common abbreviations, then you should try to add comments to clarify it. Or like I was saying, if you're using certain things which some people will be very familiar with, but other people may not be able to understand it fully. So you don't want to leave anything on the assumption of the reader, so you want to clarify it.
Okay.
Any other questions before I go to the FSD? So
No,
in
we are good.
Perfect. So we are taking this requirement, guys. The user shall have an option to select paperless statements online. So let's take this example for today's exercise. So let me show you, and I will share with you this sample FSD as well. This is the name of this is the function specification document. We can write here secure mailbox. That's it.
Gurmeet, just because you said the paperless statement, I just wanted to share some information. Recently, I got an option from the bank that if I choose for paperless document, they'll be giving me $5 off or something like that.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah,
That's what it is, because
yeah.
their problem statement would be saving money rather than anything
Yes.
else. So
Mm-hmm.
they are trying to market this feature, gathering more people to use it, because maybe they have this feature but people were not using it, right? So that's what they are trying to market it to you. Okay.
You explained that, so I remember that. Yeah.
Yep, sure. So start with again, this is a sample I'm using. In your company where you go, it might be different, but the basic concept, the structure would remain the same, right? Function specification document, the name of the feature, accompanied with the release. Again, you may have a release number or may not have it. Most probably you will have it, and it should be along with the feature only. But this is how we use it. Name security mailbox, and it's going in, let's say, release 17.0. Okay. Revision history, very important, guys. It's maintained every time. Maybe it's a first of all when you're submitting it, you are writing it initial submission or initial draft, whatever it is, right? And then once you get it approved, you will say first approval or approved first copy, so first approval, right? And then if there is a change request, you will say CR number blah blah blah, right? Whatever the number is. So your revision history will stay always, and you will put your version number here 0.1, 0.2. Again, it varies based upon your project. Some uses 1.1, 1.2. Doesn't matter. Should be very simple for you to understand. Date when it is submitted, name or the author. Again, it could be a name of the person, name of the company, depends upon your project. Okay, but revision history is one of the sections that we use in the FSD. Of course, there is a index which is very important, which has everything that you have done here, so that you can easily go to that. So let's start with the main FSD sections. Again, may vary based upon your project, but it's a good, I would say, format to understand or sort of learn, so that you can easily use it in other formats, right? Overview, you will just give a one-liner of what you're trying to do, right? Purpose, right? Purpose is mostly like a copy paste, like a standard template that you will have. Okay, we are creating FSD. FSD will be used by the business, will be used by the QA. So we'll just copy paste it from other features which your team has already implemented. So it's nothing, I would say, special. It is just common language. You will just change the name of the feature, and that is it. So that will be purpose. Again, in your template, purpose might be something else which you have to take a look. But in this template, purpose is just common thing. Ensure business requirements are fulfilled, provide input to QA, maintain product requirement traceability, blah blah blah. So this doesn't change by per FSD. I just have to change the name of the requirement I'm working on. In this case, it is secure mailbox, right? So I will just say secure mailbox, right? And everything else remains same. First thing is problem statement. So we all talked about problem statement. So here we are saying in the last 1 year, system has generated 10 million paper notices. Clients are spending 10 million in generating paper noticing, mailing to users. Today, more than 65% of users have valid email address available, but they are not using it, right? Then there is no way for people to access the consolidated list of communications, right? Uh, since all notices are or all communications are generated via paper, it takes time or the time lag factor. So we are just writing down the problem statements that we understood as part of the JAD session. Okay, so that anyone who is reading it knows that these were the problems that we were solving with this feature. Making sense, guys? Is it now connecting the dots or not?
Yes, definitely.
Right? Again, don't go on the wording, but try to understand this is a very, very layman language. You are stating what the problems that you understood, right? Once you, so these are all valid. This is like a real example. I'm saying that my client was spending $10 million, right, on paper notices, and that was one of the reasons. And then the research said that, and this is what the persona I was talking about, that they found that 65% of their users have valid emails in their account. So they thought, why not to use this opportunity and use secure in mailbox? Okay. So based upon the problem statement, you will define a high-level scope. Okay. Enable individual users with access to a tool that they can show how consolidated list of, again, I'm saying notices, but think about statements could be seen, right? How they can download it, right? And then they can select a paperless option in their accounts, right? This is a high-level scope you're defining. So name of the section is proposed scope of solution. Again, all these are generic statements. You don't have to, no one puts a weight on it. So developer will not develop on these things. This is all for, let's say, a sort of abstract before you start reading a book, right? This is all those things. You're preparing the user mentally that, okay, this is the problem we are solving, and high level, this is the scope in our mind, right? And then you may have a project diagram, which we will talk about in the coming sessions. Okay. But these were all abstract or sort of understanding when you are starting to reading a book. That is what you are giving to the users. Any questions before I go to the use cases? No? So now we are entering to the
Just
use
one
case.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, so we can basically copy a previous FSD at the company and just kind of make changes to it.
Yes, and it will be a good idea because then you will see, okay, what type of language they have used, what type of audience they have addressed to, right? And you can easily, so what I did was I used another problem statement from other FSD. So in that FSD, they were using, they were a different feature, but they were trying to understand what is the population, right? What is the population, what is the impact, and then how this feature will impact it. So I got that idea and then I replaced it with my own wording, right? I made my own problem statement based upon my previous template that I saw, right, from other feature. Similarly, scope. You will get an understanding which type of people they are approaching to, or what type of language or verbiage they are using. You can just recreate it based upon your own feature. And as I said, purpose in my template is just generic. It is just what FSD is supposed to do. It's generic, doesn't change by, so it is just copy paste. You don't have to even do anything other than changing the name of the feature. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sure. So now the main effort or the main thing that would be used by the developers, by the QA guys, right, to actually develop the system would be the use case, because this everything else was just for understanding. Now, as I discussed earlier, the one requirement that we are taking is this one. The user shall have an option to select paperless statement online. That is the only one requirement that we are taking on. So the use case that I am writing is, as a user, while creating or editing user profile, I will be presented an option to go paperless by checking go paperless, blah, blah, blah. So think about it, checking box, checking, sorry, go paperless option. Perfect, right? So let's say that this is the use case you're written. As a user, while creating or editing your profile, I'll be presented an option to go paperless by checking go paperless option. So again, how you write a use case heading may vary in different styles, right? But think about it, it should have three things. It should have who is taking the action, the reason for taking the action, right? And what will be the result, right? Three things should be there in your sentence. Who is doing it, what will be done, and what is the reason for doing it. So whatever way and format you write it, try to make sure that these three things are there. So as a user, while creating, so as a user is the user who is writing this requirement, right? Or who is would be using this feature. So now you're saying what is the user doing while creating or editing a user profile? I will present you an option to go paperless by checking go paperless. So you're trying to go paperless, and on a user profile, you will be given an option to go paperless. So that is your use case. Again, you can add a brief description. Okay, use case define the change user. Again, this is your you can use it from the previous templates, right? But just add your flavor that the screen will now collect additional information from the user about preferred method of contact. Now think about it. You're just implementing a feature on top of an existing website they might have, right? So they already have a bank website. What you're doing is you're implementing secure mailbox. So you're assuming that the users may already have a profile. Now you're giving them an additional option to maybe check off their preferences. Like Usha was explaining, he got an email that if you go paperless, you will get $5, right? So to get the $5, there should be an action that she has to take, right? So she can go to their profile and check off this box. So you may have now realized this functional specification document is a solution document. Now we are totally talking about solution, how it will be. We are done talking about what. We have talked about what enough. Now we are talking how. So everything you will see in this use case will be how. Any questions before I go ahead? Am I going fast, guys? Is it making sense?
No, we are good.
Okay. So description is there. So we talked about other important categories, right? That are part of the use case, right? Actors, as I explained, who will be the user of this use case? As a user, when you say as a user, the reason you generalize it because there might be more than one user, right? So, uh, that's why we generalize the use case, right? As a user, I will do this so that when someone is reading it, they can see, okay, as an individual, I will do this. As a maybe system admin, I will be able to do this. As a something else, I will be able to do this. So that your use case is generalized such that all the users which are mentioned here as an actor, this would be applicable. Okay, so actors are nothing but the users who will be executing this use case, simple format, right? Who will be doing this? Who will be selecting and going to paperless option? That will be the users. In my example, I've taken some users. Think about it. Let's say for keeping it system admin. Maybe you are using your own portal. You are going online to your profile and doing it yourself, or maybe you are calling a call center guy, and that call center guy, that is the admin, or let's say CSR, customer service representative, should be able to opt that option for you on your behalf. Make sense on actors? So these are the two actors who I think should be able to have this option. One is the individual user, right? And then I'm saying the customer service guy. These are the two actors which should be able to execute my use case. All good, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Triggers. So I hope you understand triggers preconditions. I think I talked about it earlier, but just to recap, trigger is everything or anything that initiates your use case. So in this example, user accesses create profile screen while creating a user profile. When the user is creating a new account and creating a profile, that is when he will get access to this option, right? So this is just saying that either he is creating a profile or he is editing a profile or updating a profile. These are the only two triggers when this use case would be initiated. Make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is trigger is
Very
the
interesting.
action that the user will take to initiate this use case. So action he will take is he will create a profile or he will click on something to edit the profile. Okay. Now precondition, how is it different than trigger? Precondition is something that needs to be true before the use case could be executed. Right? So precondition could be maybe having access to the website, the bank website, right? Or access to the screen. So however, wherever you are, how will you access that screen, right? So whatever it needs to be true, whether he is able to access the website and the particular page, that all could be a part of the precondition. Like the user has a link to access the portal and is updating an existing user profile by accessing my profile. Could be a precondition, right? Anything that needs to be true before the use case could be executed. And trigger is anything that initiates the use case or triggers the use case. Clear between the differentiation, guys?
Can you please provide us an example again for this trigger and the preconditions?
Yes. So let me do one thing. I think we took a example. Let me see. So let's say this is a website, airtable.com, right? So let's say your use case is to create a login, right? So how will you log into the system? That is your use case. So the precondition to the use case should be that you should have access to airtable.com and you should be on the airtable.com homepage. That is your precondition, right? Anything that needs to be true. What is your trigger? You will click on the sign in button. So the user is on the homepage and clicks on the sign in button. That is your trigger. So the action that you perform to initiate your use case is trigger. Any condition that needs to be true, like you need to have access to the Airtable website, and of course your internet should be working, right? That's why you will access it, and you should be able to access the home screen, right? So that you get access to perform the trigger. That is your precondition. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. So post condition is very simple, guys. Post condition is whatever you want to be true after the use case is executed. And mostly it is the favorable condition that you want to be true. If it is a login use case, it will be like user is successfully logged into the user profile, right? Or here in our use case, it is that user is able to create, update the user profile. That is your post condition. And then while creating it, user is able to update the option to go paperless. Okay. So that is your post condition. So everyone clears on action, actors, triggers, precondition, postcondition.
Yeah.
It is important, guys. So feel free to stop me that if you have any questions in this. Good. So let's go to the next important section, that is the flow of events. What I explained earlier was when you are writing a requirement, especially the functional specification document, as a business analyst, you're supposed to write down the major basic and alternate flows that your user could end up being, such that because it is your responsibility as a business analyst to envision these flows and document these flows, because whoever is reading the document, maybe it's a developer, it's a QA, they should be able to understand and realize, okay, these are all the situations that the user may end up being, right? So the basic flow is the happy path. That is your straightforward happy path that the user will go. Precondition one is to individual user fills the details of create individual family screens. User enters email address. User presented a new option, preferred method of contact. User selects go paperless option. User doesn't check the box, continues filling other related details. User completes the profile. And then, since the email address is provided, user profile is successfully created. So this is your happy path. You provided the email address, and then you checked the option to go paperless. The system validated it and applied your option. Right? Straightforward. No deviations. So that is called your basic flow. Right? And for a basic flow, there could be n number of alternate flows where you can either define alternate paths of success or you can define alternate paths of failure. What can go wrong or what all are the other ways to achieve the same results, right? So, for example, the Airtable site I was showing you, I think I closed it maybe, but there could be multiple ways to do the same thing. There may be multiple ways to log in, right? You can log in through Google account. You can log into your own username, password. You can use your Facebook account, right? Could be a multiple ways to do the same thing. So you can select one as the basic flow, and all others will be your alternate flow, right? For example, in this case, uh, you can write down one of the use cases that the user didn't provide the email address and is trying to use the paperless option. So you can write that. In that case, the system will show an error message that you haven't provided the email address, so your paperless option cannot be selected. Right? So that could be an alternate flow. So alternate flows could be alternate paths of success or alternate paths that could lead to failure. Any questions in basic and alternate flows? Usha, you are good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Again, this all things, something once you practice, you will know more. Again, we are pressed with
Yeah,
time
we have
right
to
now.
go through,
Yeah.
multiple
So
times.
yes. So what I will do, guys, again, we have almost we have reached time. So what I will do is I will share with you this template, right? Because we have to still go through the functional requirements. Maybe we will go through the next class, but uh, that is it. That is what your functional specification document carries. And your functional specification document, this is just one example I took for just one use case. There could be multiple use cases, and then each business requirement. So this is just one requirement that we took. Each business requirement could end up being solved by multiple use cases, right? So you may need one or you may need multiple use cases to document the solution for a business requirement. Right now, I just showed you one-on-one mapping. I showed you this is the use case, these are the work flows and everything, and these are the FRs that we will need to solve just one requirement. Okay, but overall, on the overall basis, guys, are you getting it? What you will end up doing as a business analyst?
So, Gurmeet, for the one requirement, there's a one document for the, we create the one document for that
No, no, no.
requirement document.
So there for a particular module, this is a module, right? So for a module, there will be one business requirement document and there will be one functional specification document, right? In the business requirement document, there could be multiple business requirements, right? These business requirements could map one to one or could be one to many, which means BR02 could have multiple use cases. So right now, I'm just explaining use case 6.1. It could be 6.2, 6.3, 6.4 in the same document, right? But we'll use the same format. You will write the use case, you will have the description, actors, triggers, you will repeat the entire format again and again. Whatever number of requirements are required to solve this business requirement. Okay. So right now we just took that for BR.02, we are writing use case 6.1, right? Use case 01, right? And that is this use case has multiple functional requirements, function requirement 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all those type of things, but under a particular use case. And then you may have to write another use case that could be 6.2, 6.3, 6.4 to document all other requirements. Okay. But the format would remain the same, the idea would remain the same, the actors, triggers, precondition, postcondition, flows, everything would remain the same. Okay, how you document it. Making sense, guys? Is it? I hope you're not confused because my whole purpose was to make you relaxed. That this is what it is. To show you the entire thing all at once.
Yeah.
Great idea. I have one question. You mentioned there's three elements for use cases. The first one was who is using the feature. What's the second and third one?
So
I think
let me, yeah, I
you
think
said
it
there's.
is
Uh-huh.
the reason and the why. So let me actually see if I have that document
Sure.
open. I covered it. No, maybe I didn't cover it in the arrestation one. Let's see.
Like in the 6.1 use case, it says as a users, so that's the person using the feature. And then
Yes.
the second part is while creating or editing user profile. And then you said the third is to go paperless. But
Yes.
I wanted to
So,
get a breakdown on that again.
yes. So think about this is the form. As a user, type of user, right? I want to, what is your goal? So that, what is the reason? Again, this is, I would say, the good format or a better format to use. You don't have to use this format, but generally, this is considered good business format, right?
Okay, wonderful. So number 2 is what is the goal, and number 3 is
What is the
the
reason?
outcome.
Again, you
What
can
is the
mix it.
reason? Okay.
This it doesn't has to be in the sequence, but if you capture user, goal, and reason in one sentence while documenting a use case, that is the best format. Okay. Again, let me show you what I have documented on the website. If you will read through it, it will make much more sense. If you go to where is it? Analysis, write a use case, right? It has detail about every section, what it is, right? Uh, and then it has template also. You can download it from here, right? And then there is another one which is write a user story. So in this user story section also, you will see the same thing as a persona or actor, right? I want what, so that why. So similar type of format. Okay. So I would say go through
Yes,
this
thank you so much.
website also, guys. I keep on adding more new things whenever I get chance. So and again, I will share with you this template as well. So do practice on it. I will maybe give you one more day, maybe Tuesday, maybe tomorrow when we meet. Uh, I will give you an assignment. Let's finish this exercise. I will give you an assignment such that maybe you guys can present me in this format one of the requirements on Wednesday. Okay. So let's finish it off on Tuesday, that is tomorrow. Whatever is pending, that is the FR section. But I will share with you this template. Go through it and please ask me any questions that you might have definitely by tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, great.